Hey yo there, what do you say? Sandcaster here. It's been a while. I hope you're doing alright, and I want to mention a couple of things. And the first one being my sort of brief hiatus from uploading due to exams, and I just want to come clean with that. I was using that as an excuse, right? There was one day where I was just tired, I was in bed, I realized that it was supposed to be a day where I was supposed to be uploading video, and I was just like, you know what, let me not, right? And I have a lot on my plate, and it's true, I do have a lot on my plate, I have a lot of exams upcoming, but I realized I was just using that as an excuse, right? An excuse to not get out of bed, to not do anything, right? Yesterday I was supposed to have uploaded a video. What stopped me then? Nothing. It was just inertia, basically. Like I couldn't be bothered to do it. I couldn't be bothered to move. I couldn't be bothered to just sort of get out and just talk in front of a mic and do some editing for what, less than half an hour, right? And the thing is that I had a realization today, right? I procrastinate a lot. It's something that I've always struggled with. It's something that I often deal with, and I try to find ways to combat it. But the thing is that if you have time to procrastinate, you have time to be productive. It's really that simple. So today, I procrastinated for about an hour, give or take, right? And in that hour, I could have done so much, right? Could have made two videos, right? I could have read for half an hour. I could have done some exercising. I could have done a revision for an hour. Instead, I chose to procrastinate, right? And the problem to keep in mind is that it's really easy to fall into this trap of just this endless supply and this endless sort of like mire of excuses, right? And it can lead anyone off the sort of like the path that they're supposed to go down, right? Um, and the thing to keep in mind is that it's never it's never fatal initially anyway, right? When you have that one day where you're just like, I don't really feel like doing it, or I don't really feel like getting out of bed, or I don't really feel like giving it my all today. That's never going to kill you immediately, right? It's when you have days and days and days and months and months and months and years and years and years of that sort of behavior, of that sort of mindset. That's what kills you in the end, right? It's not the fact that you decided one day to just sort of think, well, you know, let me just have like a little bit of donuts here and there, right? If you eat like a donut, if you have like a big breakfast with filled with like bacon, rashes, eggs, and stuff like that, right? If you have that every day for 10 years, you're gonna get heart problems, right? And the thing to keep in mind is that like at any one given point, right, it's not really that fatal, right? And that's the thing to always keep in mind is that everything you do matters. Everything you do matters so much, right? Um, all dreams are just goals with a deadline. That's all they are, right? So for me, I have certain dreams. I have things I want to accomplish, and I want to achieve them in a certain type frame, right? And the problem to keep in mind is that that can only happen, right? If you do the same thing, if you're consistent at something, day in, day out, day in, day out, day in, day out, day in, day out, right? And you just have to approach it with a certain mindset, right? So there's a lot of strategies that people often talk about: Pomodoro timer, goal setting, habit tracker. But to be honest, I think all of them are sort of subservient to the number one most important thing, and that's your mindset shift, right? So today I was in the shower and I was just feeling really down, right? I was just thinking, man, there's not a chance in hell that I'm ever going to pass. I can't do it. There's no point, right? And the thing to keep in mind is that if you think like that, obviously it's just going to be a self-fulfilling prophecy. Obviously you're not going to be able to succeed. Obviously you're not going to be able to get what you want, right? But the thing to keep in mind is that you could, right? Okay, let's take out all the life possibilities, right, on the table, right? So if I do not revise, I will fail. If I do revise, I might fail, but I might pass, right? When you say it clearly in those clear black and white terms, it really does go to show like, okay, how stupid it is to just give up before you've even tried, right? So that's my sort of philosophy, right? I'm going to try and try and try and try and try and try and try, right? And there's a book I've been reading called the name of it escapes me. I think it's something to do with basically craftsmen, right? And they're basically their sort of attitude and their sort of philosophy and their sort of worldview. And I find it very, very revealing and therapeutic, right? Because there's a quote in the book, and I quite like it, right? And it goes something to the effect of, right, I haven't made a perfect object yet, right? And it's that yet that really goes to show what I think this mindset is all about, right? Now, trying to make something that is completely perfect is almost it is impossible, right? So for example, something can be like nearly flawless in when it comes to like the human eye, but when it comes to actual measurements, there's always going to be like a little bit off, right? There's always going to be some margin of error, right? So constantly striving towards that goal, even in spite of the fact that you know beforehand that you're going to fail, right? Knowing that, right? And still doing it anyway, that's what it means to sort of try to be a winner. That's what it means to succeed. That's what it means to try to give it your all, right? you try and you try and you try and you try, and you know in the back of your mind there's always a chance that you might fail, and even when you do fail, right, you still try anyway, because that's what you have to do, right? Otherwise you're just not going to get anywhere, right? So this is just me just sort of reaffirming to myself and reaffirming to the people who watch me that I'm not going to give up. I'm not going to sideline myself. I'm not going to not create videos. I'm going to make videos, right, on Wednesdays, Fridays, and Sundays, right? And I'm going to make them at a consistent time, and I'm going to do it from now until I stop breathing or I'm in the hospital, right? I'm not going to, I don't care anymore. I don't give a damn, right? I am going to make videos. I don't care if I get 1 view. I don't care if I get 0 views for 20 years straight. I do not care. I'm going to make videos because that's what I said I was going to do at the start of this YouTube channel, and that's what I intend to do, right? I've broken a lot of promises to myself, and I'm not going to break this one, right? So, yeah. Just to sort of recap, you have to sort of acknowledge your excuses, and you have to understand the impact they have on your overall life, right? And you have to come up with whatever strategies that you find helpful and try to commit to that action, right? So maybe it might be going out and speaking to someone else and telling them, hey, I'm going to do this, or maybe it might be having a challenge with someone else, or whatever it may be, right? There's like 1,001 productivity techniques, right? And pretty much everything you could ever want when it comes to sort of like being more productive, being more disciplined is on the internet right now. Right now, you have in front of you the single most powerful and amazing resource that anyone in human history would have killed to have had, right? But you have it at the finger of, right at the tip of your fingers, right? So yeah, I just wanna close up and just, you know how it's like sort of corny, like in the movies, will they say like, don't give up, give it your all, right? It's, the thing is that we have to have that sort of message reaffirmed to us over and over and over again, because how many of us don't, right? We just give up before we even try. We give up at the first hurdle. We don't even give it like a fair shake, right? And I just want to say, stop doing that, right? Stop selling yourself short. Stop doomering. Stop having like this sort of mindset where you're like, I can't get anything done. I'll never be able to do it. I'll never be able to win, right? Because you might, right? And even if you don't, right? What do you want to look back on, right? Do you want to look back at your life and think, man, you know, I gave it my all, I gave it my best shot. I'm still not where I want to be, but I'm still comfortable with what I have. Or do you want to look back at your life and you can't even see your toes because of like how fat you are, right? Or you move around and you realize you got no wife, you got no kids, you got no future, no community, no nothing, right? Which one of those alternatives sound more appealing to you, right? Now, just keep that in mind, right? And whenever you sort of tell yourself, okay, I'm done, right? I'm like, I just can't be bothered anymore. I just want to throw in the towel, right? Just ask yourself, okay, how many people, right, are in the exact same position that I'm in, and yet they manage to move past their goals, move past like their like obstacles, move past everything, right? And they still manage to get the W in the end, right? Right now, right, when like try to think of your life as like an arc, right? Right now, you're in your sort of, you know, you're in your like your adolescent period where like you're starting to go through like a little bit of bumps, a little bit of hurdles, right? My guess is if you're watching this video, you're probably in like your 20s or your 30s, right? And maybe there's some part of you that's already sort of like, you know, like thrown in the towel that thinks, well, you know, things can't ever get better, things can't ever improve, right? Bullshit, right? Things can always get better, things can always improve, okay? All right, so just tell yourself that, right? Tell yourself that, and then once you've changed your mindset, right, then you're going to start to see that bear fruit, right? Then you're going to start to think, okay, right, now things are changing, right? So for me, my goal isn't to revise 4 hours every day. My goal isn't to pass the year. My goal isn't any of that, right? My goal right now, my number one goal is to change my mindset, right? That's the most important thing. That's the number one most important thing that will ensure that I succeed in every other goal that I have in life, right? Because even if I do those 2 other things, right, if I still have like a sort of like fixed mindset as opposed to a growth mindset, it's not going to count for anything, right? So yeah, that's me, and yeah, I hope you found this video helpful or useful in any sort of way. This is Sandkazer signing off.